Welcome to France 24's Access Asia. I'm Molly Hall. Here's what's coming up in today's show. The Philippines' deadly war on drugs. Several thousand people have been killed in President Duterte's hardline anti-narco campaign. And education or brainwashing. China fosters its patriotic spirit with Red Army primary schools. Plus, a blue-eyed tea seller becomes a social media sensation in Pakistan and in India. But first, the Philippines has announced plans to open what it calls a mega drug rehabilitation facility. Funded by a Chinese tycoon, the center would treat up to 10,000 patients. Well, it's all a part of President Rodrigo Duterte's war on drugs, a war that began when he came to power at the end of June. But already several thousand people, mostly small-time drug users and dealers, have died at the hands of police and suspected vigilantes. France 24's Diptyque Laurent has more.
This Halloween, Filipinos can dress up as the Punisher, thanks to a Manila arts professor. He's been making masks of President Rodrigo Duterte, who's been nicknamed the Punisher for his merciless war on drugs.
People have worn costumes of worse people, like Hitler and Saddam Hussein. I don't think there's anything wrong with wearing Duterte as a mask.
Duterte was sworn in on June the 30th, a populist leader elected on an anti-drug platform.
If I become the president, I will order the military and the police to hunt down the drug lords, the big ones, and kill them.
So far, he's kept his promise. It's believed that at least 3,000 people have been killed in Duterte's 4-month war on drugs. One such victim, Marcelo Salvador, a father of 3 and rickshaw driver who was shot dead by gunmen on September the 6th in the Filipino capital. He was suspected of having taken methamphetamines. Some of the victims also include children and other innocent bystanders caught up in the crossfire. Duterte calls them collateral damage, but it has drawn international condemnation from the US, UN, and the EU. As a result of the war, some aid groups are now looking at unusual ways to help rehabilitate drug users, like here in Olongapo City, where recovering addicts are taught carpentry skills and then paid to build and paint wooden coffins, a reminder of where their old lives could lead them.
If I don't change, it's possible that I could die. That's why after I surrendered, I'm striving to change myself so that I don't end up dead and placed inside the coffin that I made.
In another center, drug addicts practice laughter yoga. It is believed to soothe body muscles and help addicts express their emotions. According to the Health Ministry, 700,000 people have surrendered to the police and enrolled in rehab centers. But the president insists that he doesn't give second chances. He says his war on drugs is here to stay.
Next, it's a relatively new form of education that resembles the 1930s. Since 2007, China's ruling Communist Party has promoted patriotic education at Red Army schools. Thousands of students take part in political rallies, dress up, wave flags, and even reenact famous battles. But critics say it's less about schooling and more about brainwashing. Here's our Luke Schrago.
Marching in formation. This is no army academy, but one of China's Red Army schools, where patriotism is everything. Every day begins the same way, with the flag raised, saluted, and the national anthem sung. This school in eastern China's Huaiyan has 5,000 pupils in its neat ranks, all tightly disciplined.
As brilliant as he is, a pupil who doesn't love his flag is a bad pupil.
All this in an elementary school, one partly funded by the families of former Red Army non-commissioned officers. It's also free and open to all. Patriotism mingles with a touch of nostalgia too. The uniforms are based on those worn by Chinese revolutionaries during the 1930s.
I'm proud to wear this uniform. Mao's my hero. The Red Army School is a great community. I'm happy to be part of it.
There are 230 schools like this across China since the first one appeared in 2007. The curriculum teaches maths and English, and Chinese lessons like this one for ages 6 to 12. It's the same program as in all of China's other schools. No chalkboards here though, and despite top-of-the-line technology like these tactile screens, the revolutionary spirit is never far from the surface.
When I see the flag, for me it's happiness. It's when I know my country is strong and we're not afraid.
The idea of propaganda in schools isn't out of the ordinary in China. Head teacher Mrs. Guan is keen to ensure all her pupils understand the nation's communist system.
Today, in the face of money, they have to learn to resist and know what's important.
Here, that's Red Army spirit. Pupils even have lessons where they act out in song famous battles fought by the Chinese revolutionaries in 1949, which brought Mao Zedong to power. A change of uniforms for physical education classes, and more besides.
Here they can know what it is to be a soldier, and it awakens their patriotic spirit.
The Red Army schools are about more than education. They're about instilling national pride in tomorrow's generation of citizens.
Now, the IKEA showroom is designed to help customers imagine what their homes could look like. But in China, some customers are literally making themselves at home, kicking off their shoes to incline on a couch or even taking naps in one of the mock-up bedrooms. And at its flagship store in Shanghai, senior citizens have pushed the company's patience too far, and they've been banned. Our Alexandra Okut tells us why.
Looking for love in IKEA. The clean, homely environment in the Swedish stores has become the venue for dating groups in China, when bars, clubs and karaoke joints are no longer deemed appropriate for the older generation. But now the flagship store in Shanghai has called time on the practice.
We've received many complaints from customers recently about their uncivilized eating behavior. This has actually deterred some shoppers from having meals here.
As IKEA membership card holders, hundreds of pensioners take advantage of free coffee and bring their own food in from home. Complaints have risen in-store and on Chinese social media that they leave no seating for paying customers, talk loudly, drop food, spit, and even get in fights. The Shanghai store has now put up signs outlawing the dating groups and has even tried to force out the geriatric freeloaders.
I saw them fighting and then the police came. It's not 1 or 2 years, but 5 years that we've been coming here. Since we're all single, we come here to talk, and older people generally don't have other places to go. In other places we have to buy things to stay, but here we didn't have to.
While those in the dating groups are unhappy, others applaud the measures.
The canteen is a place for people to eat. If they want to have matchmaking events, I think they can choose other places.
Now we can find places to sit after shopping. Before we couldn't, so we couldn't eat here.
Other IKEA stores in China have already said they won't follow suit. And in Shanghai, crafty seniors have already started taking advantage of a loophole. Simply buy the cheapest item available, a croissant for the equivalent of 55 euro cents, and they can stay as long as they like.
Next, a Pakistani tea seller with captivating eyes saw his life change when his picture went viral on social media. The 18-year-old became an overnight sensation when a photographer's Instagram shot of him working at his tea stall was shared tens of thousands of times. Take a look.
It was just an ordinary day for Arshad Khan, but the Pakistani vendor was about to make more than just tea. He'd be making waves nationwide.
So I found out I'm good looking this morning. All these people keep taking pictures.
An Islamabad photographer caught Khan at his job at the Sunday Bazaar and posted the result on social media. It went viral overnight, to the bafflement of both him and co-workers alike.
His eyes were so beautiful that we used to make fun of him and call him cat eyes. But we never thought that he would one day become so famous.
Khan's an ethnic Pashtun, a group of people living mostly in northwest Pakistan and neighbouring southern Afghanistan. Light skin and eyes are their typical attributes. With no phone though and unable to read, he's never been to school. The tea seller initially had no idea of his newfound stardom.
Before, I was living a poor life. I was working as a labourer. I faced poverty. I spent my whole life in poverty. Now, with the grace of Allah, I am honoured and have the opportunity to move forward.
As interviews gathered pace, the 18-year-old scrubbed up and looked to what the future may bring, though he's already ruled out one career option.
If I can find some clean, honourable work, I will certainly do it. I have not thought about working in films and dramas. My family has never done it, and I won't in future.
The whole affair has left something of a swirling debate in its wake in Pakistan, with people asking questions over not just objectification, but class and the place of ethnic Pashtuns in the deeply conservative society.
Finally, business is booming for tattoo parlors in Bangkok. There's a surge in clients asking for permanent reminders of their beloved king, who died the 13th of October after 7 decades on the throne. Now, some newly inked Thais say it's their way of showing their respect. We'll leave you now with those images. Join us next time here on Access Asia.
Wow.